Yes, just a minute.
Mr. Chairman, good afternoon. I now call our next witness, Ms. Munira Mahmud.
Right, thank you.
Say after me, I swear by Allah
I swear by Allah
that the evidence I shall give
that the evidence I shall give
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
Thank you. If you like
Good,
to-
thank you very much. Sit down and make yourself comfortable. All right, now Mr. Millett's going to ask you some questions. Yes, Mr. Millett.
Ms. Mahmud, can I please ask you to give the inquiry your full name?
Munira Mahmud.
Okay. And can I say, first of all, a very big thank you to you for coming along here and assisting the inquiry with our investigations. It's very important that we hear from you, and we're very grateful to you. Can I also say, it may be very difficult for you to give evidence and to relive the events of the night. And I want to say how sorry I am for the terrible loss of your dear friend, Rania Ibrahim. I know you were very close to her. If you need a break at any time, we can take a break. It's not a problem. Take as long as you like. And if I ask questions which you can't understand, it's normally because they're not very good questions, and all you have to do is just say, please repeat the question, and I can put the question in a different way. Okay? Also, I should just say that when you're answering a question, I am listening. The most important thing that's happening is that you're answering the question. But if I'm not looking at you, it's normally because I'm either looking at my notes or at the screen in front of me, which has got what you're saying being written down. Now, I'm going to focus pretty much on the events of the night, just so you know what we're doing. Now, you've provided a witness statement to the inquiry, and I'll just say the name of the statement aloud. It's IWS 0000776. Can I ask you to look at that? It's on the screen. You can either look at it on the desk or on the screen at the back of the hall if you want. Is that the first page of your statement?
Yes.
And can I ask you to turn to page 11, or be shown page 11 of that statement? And you can see that it's got a date at the bottom, 6th of June 2017, and a signature. Can you confirm that that's your signature?
Yes, I do.
Have you had a chance to read this statement recently?
Yes.
You have. And can you confirm that the contents are true?
Yeah, I do.
Yes. Now, I'm going to read into the record the exhibits that you've given us. They are exhibit MM1, which is IWS 777, page 2, and MM2, which is IWS 777, page 4. And those are a plan of floor 5 and a map of the Grenfell Tower area generally. Now, I'm just going to make a general warning that we will be looking, this is for everybody's benefit, at a number of images, including photographs of the building taken after the fire. And we'll give a specific warning as we go along, but we just want to highlight that now, because some people might find that distressing. And if they do, then they will be invited to either look away or leave the room. Can I ask you then some background questions, Mrs. Mahmud, first of all? In June 2017, can you tell us where you were living?
25 Grenfell Tower.
25. And in June 2017, who was living in flat 25 Grenfell Tower with you?
Myself, my husband, my father-in-law, and my 2 children.
And by June 2017, do you remember how long you'd been living in Grenfell Tower?
Nearly 9 years.
Nearly 9 years. And how old were your two children at the time of the fire?
My son was 5 and my daughter was 1.5.
And were you all in good health at the time of the fire?
In a way, yes, because me, my husband, in good health, and my son. My daughter-in-law has sickle cell. My father-in-law's got dementia, heart problem, high blood pressure, diabetes, and many more medical problems.
Yes. And do you know, were you a tenant of flat 25?
Yes.
You were. Do you know who you rented the flat from?
Kensington, Chelsea, the Royal Borough of Kensington, Chelsea, the council, sorry.
Right. Now, let's look at your first exhibit, if we can, Mrs. Mahmud. It's MM1, so it's 777, page 2. And that is a plan of floor 5 in Grenfell Tower. Now, if we look at this plan, are you able to point out where your flat is?
It's top left.
Top left. So that's facing north and west. Now, on this plan here, you've marked K as I think your kitchen.
Yes.
Can you tell us what the window of your kitchen looked out onto?
It's toward the station, it's facing the station,
Right.
Latimer Road Station.
And immediately below?
There's a playground and a community centre,
Right.
which became the reception for the Grenfell Tower.
Yes. And on the same plan, we can see that you've marked a room L. What is that room?
Living room.
That's the living room. And was there a door between the living room and the kitchen?
Yes, it was.
There was. And what sort of door was it? Was it an opening door or a sliding door?
Sliding door.
Sliding door. What was the sliding door made of? Do you remember?
Wood.
Wood. And looking at your living room, you've got windows on the west side and also windows on the north side, looking towards the top of the diagram. What did the windows on the north side look onto?
Is it the station?
The station, was it? And you've also got two bedrooms, I think, marked A, B, and MB. And they look the same way. Did they look the same way, those two bedrooms?
Yeah, the 2 bedrooms did.
Do you remember whether you experienced, after 2016, any problems with the windows?
What they did fix new windows, and we had the problem. The draft would come through. The quality was not good. It was not closing properly.
Right. You said the draft would come through.
Yeah.
Do you remember where the draft came through the windows?
They didn't seal it properly. They didn't seal the windows on
Right.
the sailboard.
So was it at the bottom of the windows?
Yes.
Or
On the side as well.
On the side. Okay. And which windows in your flat do you think the draft came through?
The bedroom, the 2 bedroom windows.
The ones that you've marked A, B, and MB?
Yes.
Yes. What about the living room?
We didn't spend much time at night in the living room, so it was okay.
I see. Okay. And did you notice draft coming through into the kitchen?
Well, the kitchen window is always open, so
Right. Okay. And did those problems with drafts coming through the windows that you've described, did they exist at the time of the fire in June 2017?
I didn't pay attention to it because that time the windows were already open. It was hot summer day,
Yeah.
so
Okay. Did anybody, well, let me ask this, did you ask for somebody to come and fix the draft coming through the windows in the bedrooms?
we did, yeah.
Were they fixed?
No.
Now, if we look at the plan, we can see that your front door, is this right? Tell me if this is right, opened up onto the lobby area. by the lifts.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember whether you had any difficulties opening and shutting the front door?
Well, I don't know if it's the safety lock that in 2011, 2012, if I don't remember properly, we broke the safety hinge because we were locked in and I was pregnant, expecting the baby any time.
Right.
And no one from RBKC came, or TMO came to repair the door since, so there was no difficulties at all opening or closing the door.
Right. So at the time of the fire, did the door self-close, or did you have to close the door in order to shut it?
Yeah, we had to do it manually.
You had to do it manually?
Yeah.
Right. Now, can I ask you to be shown, please, paragraph 14 of your statement? You say there that on the 13th of June, you say, on the day of the fire, I dropped my 2 children to school in the morning with Rania Ibrahim and her children. And you explained that Rania lived at flat 203 on the 22nd floor, and you were very close friends. My question is, did you spend the rest of the day at home on that day?
Not most of the day, no. We were out shopping, and then, as usual, we went to pick up the kids. We planned to go to the library to get the theory book because we're planning to start driving. And then we met downstairs at the bottom of the building.
Right.
She took my daughter and her older daughter to the swimming pool. I had my son and her youngest.
Just take a
It's
moment
okay.
to
Take the time.
calm down a minute.
Take time. Plenty of time. Would you like some water? Some water next to you.
Would you like to sit next to her?
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be a good idea.
You take whatever time you need, and we go on when you're ready.
So I took the 2 kids upstairs, and she went to the leisure center just across, swimming lessons for her daughter. My youngest daughter was in the flat playing with my son, eating. Then she came at 6:45. She took her daughters and they didn't want to go back upstairs. They were begging their mom to stay for a bit longer. It's like, come back, we play tomorrow after school. She went upstairs. We used to take in turns cooking. It was her day, but she was getting ready for her husband coming. I said, I'll cook. I cooked the food, took for her upstairs at 9:30. And the kids were already sleeping. She looked at me smiling, not knowing it's the last smile I'm getting from her. We stood outside the lift for some time. I was telling her, go back in, eat. And she was telling me, no, you go downstairs. We're just messing around like kids,
Sure.
not knowing I'm losing my sister in the next few hours. My friend, my daughter. She used to live on the 23rd floor, not 22nd. Then I went downstairs. My daughter was very restless and kept praying. You know, when you have a feeling something bad is going to happen and not expecting that. It's not only one person you're going to lose. You're going to lose everyone. My daughter fell asleep around 11 o'clock. My husband was sleeping in the living room. And my father-in-law was in his room. As far as I remember, it was 12:30 when I heard him trying to open the chain on the door that he's going home. I said, Baba, go back to bed. He said, no, I want to go home. I heard a man's voice saying, Baba, go to bed. I assumed it was my husband. But normally we go and check if the door's secured or not. The door was locked. My husband was half asleep. Going back to my bedroom, I saw my father-in-law looking at the window outside. He was very confused. Then I went to the bedroom window. I heard people shouting, screaming, get out, fire, fire, fire. And I could see on my right the flames coming through. I told my husband, I went back to the living room, I told him, wake up, there's fire in the building. He said, it's okay, they haven't told us to evacuate. And I thought, let me see what's happening outside on the landing. There was two firefighters on the floor, on the 5th floor. One of them had mask. And is it the hose, the water hose? He told me there is fire, you have to leave. I told my husband straight away we have to leave. And then when I put my baby in the buggy, he said you only have 2 seconds. That 2 seconds is ending everything. We were lucky that 2 seconds saved us. But those who didn't have the chance for 2 seconds, it's completely gone. He told me there was no time for buggy. He grabbed my kids without shoes. We were all in our pajamas. We went down the stairs. People are rushing up and down. And my question was, if he started on one flat, why wait for the whole building to be burnt down before they can turn off the fire? But people are talking around downstairs saying there's no water. We had firefighters coming around without water.
Take your time. No rush to have any of this. Can I ask a couple more questions? You've got an amazing memory of the detail of the night, and that's amazing. There's some very interesting things I just want to ask you about. You've told us a lot. told us a lot. Can I start by asking you, it sounds like a funny thing, but you might remember it, about the temperature in the communal area on the landing during the day before the fire? Did you notice anything about it, whether it was hot or cold?
Before the fire?
Yeah.
It was a hot day, hot summer day.
Do you remember hearing any noise or fans or anything like that in the communal area?
No.
Now, in your statement, I'll show it to you if that's okay. Paragraph 8 of your statement, let's just go back to that. You can see that you've referred to a sign. You say in the second line, there was a fire health and safety sign somewhere in the tower, which stated what to do in the event of a fire in the building. I just want to ask you about that. We've got a picture, and I wonder whether you can identify it. It's BLA *0002416. If we can just put that up there. Is that the fire health and safety sign that you're talking about in your statement?
The one I remember was just basic: in case of fire, do not use lift.
Oh, right. So not this.
No, there's no, I can't remember saying that. Doesn't say assembly point, what happens in case of fire.
No. Do you never seen a sign like that inside Grenfell Tower?
The one I saw is just saying do not use the lift in case of fire. That's
right. So, okay. You can see from it, and if you've never seen it before, then it will come as news to you, I suppose. But did anybody ever explain to you what stay put meant in the event of a fire?
No.
Did you ever get any advice from anybody about what to do in the event of a fire in the building?
No.
On the night of the fire, thinking about that night, what was your understanding about what you as a resident of the building should do if there was a fire in the building?
Normally you just think, lock the door, just go in a safer place in the flat. And the other side is you look for the safest place to go, the fire assembly point, which is outside the building.
Right. Just so I'm clear in my mind, does that mean that on the night of the fire you thought the safest thing to do would be to leave the building if there was a fire in it?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Thank you. Can I ask you to look at paragraph 9 of your statement, which is on the next page? You say, I knew that if there was a fire, then the only way out was down the stairs. Each floor was numbered, so you knew where you were. Though the staircase was far too narrow for emergencies like this, there wasn't enough space for people to get down quickly. When you say that each floor was numbered, do you remember how easy it was to be able to see each number for each floor?
No, in that time when you're panicking, you only know it's easy because you're living there. But if you had guests, if you had people who cannot read English, you can recognize the numbers. And at that time, nobody's looking at numbers. Everyone is running for safety.
Right. Did you ever get a chance to look at the numbering in the stairs on different floors?
Yeah,
What was
did.
it? What was it like?
Well, it was crazy. It was easy to read, but we only had the chance to do that when they're doing the renovation of the building.
Right.
The lifts were breaking all the time, so we had to use the stairs.
I see. And when you used the stairs at that time, did the numbering help you to know where you were in the building?
Yes.
It did. Now, in paragraph 11 of your statement, you say, I had never seen any smoke alarms in the communal areas of the tower. There used to be a fire extinguisher on the ground floor of the tower, but this was removed at the beginning of the refurbishment and was never replaced. I was not aware of any fire sprinklers in the tower either. Now, you say you can't remember smoke alarms in the communal area.
No.
I just want to clarify, see if I understand that. Do you mean that you knew there weren't any, or you thought there were?
No, we knew there was.
Oh, you knew there weren't?
There wasn't any.
Okay.
No.
Now, you mentioned a fire extinguisher on the ground floor. Can you remember where it was kept?
It's next to the reception.
Right.
The old reception was downstairs. So
Right.
before you go into the second door towards the lift, it used to be there.
Okay. And you say it was removed at the beginning of the refurbishment.
Yes.
How do you know that? How do
Because
you
it
know
wasn't there anymore.
that? Okay. Now, can I ask you to look at paragraph 16 of your statement, just moving on a page. You say, and you've told us already today a lot about the night, so I'm going to keep the questions quite short. You say that you fell asleep shortly after 11 p.m. Do you remember whether any windows were left open in the flat when you went to sleep that night?
Yes.
Do you remember which ones?
All the bedroom windows and the living room windows were halfway open.
Right. And in paragraph 17, and you say, I suddenly woke up. You see there, it says on the screen, I suddenly woke up at around 12:30 a.m. because I could hear my father-in-law walking around the flat. And you say, you remember it was around this time because I looked at a clock in my bedroom. Do you remember how long after waking up and seeing the clock did you wake up your husband? Do you remember?
Less than a minute.
Less than a minute, okay. Was that, do you remember whether that was before you'd looked out and seen the fire or after?
It's before.
Before. And then in paragraphs 18 and 19 of your statement, you describe how you moved from your bedroom to the living room and then to your father-in-law's bedroom. Can I just ask you, while you were doing that, moving around the flat, could you smell anything?
No, not at that point, no.
Right. Were you aware of smoke in the air at all?
No.
Right.
Not in the flat, no.
And in paragraph 19 of your statement, if you just look at that, you say you looked outside the window to try to find out what was going on. And you describe somebody shouting, get out, fire, fire, as you told us today as well. How did you have to lean out of the window to see what was going on?
Sorry?
Did you have to lean out of the window in order to see what was going on, or could you see it from where you were standing?
I was close enough to see that I didn't have to lean
Right.
forward.
Okay. And when you looked out, could you see or smell smoke?
I just saw the flame.
Right. Reflected in the academy.
Yeah.
How did it look to you at the time?
It was orange, burning orange color.
Right. Now, at paragraph 20, you describe waking up Mohammed. You say he was already awake. I told him there was a fire and the people were shouting at us from outside, telling us to get out. He was confused and looked slightly nervous, but remained calm. He explained to me that we didn't need to evacuate the building or from our flat because no one had told us to do that. Now, you then go on to say, I couldn't understand why no one had woken us up or knocked on our door to tell us to leave the tower, as people were screaming from outside, telling us to get out. Did your husband tell you who was supposed to come and knock on your door?
No.
Okay. Who did you think was supposed to come? Do you remember? Did you have any thoughts about who might come and knock on your door?
Apart from the firefighters, the neighbors.
Right. And did anybody come and knock on your door?
No.
And then you describe in your statement at the end of that paragraph, you said there was no smoke in our flat at this point, or flames on the outside of our building. And then you say, at the beginning of the next paragraph, I was really worried, so I rushed towards the front door and opened it to find out what was going on. When I opened the front door, I could see smoke all around in the communal area. It was dark smoke. It was not very thick when I first opened the door, but it was starting to build up. I could still see through the smoke. First of all, do you remember whether there was any smoke coming through your front door when you moved down your hall towards the front door to open it?
Not in the flat, no.
Not in the flat,
No.
okay. Do you remember how much time had passed between your waking up at 12:30 and moving towards the front door to open it?
It wasn't long. 2.5, 3 minutes.
Okay. And did you go alone to the front door, or was somebody with you?
By the time I got there, Muhammad was behind me. My husband was behind me.
Right. So he was behind you, was he?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you opened the front door, you described what you see, and you say it was a dark smoke. Can you tell us any more about the colour?
As I said, it's dark, but you could still see through.
Right.
Can't remember the smell.
Could you still see the electric lights in the lobby?
Yes,
You could?
yes. You could still see someone in front of you.
Okay. Could you smell the smoke?
No.
You couldn't. And I know it's difficult to remember exactly, but how far do you think you could see through the smoke when you opened the front door?
You could see the opposite side.
You could see the opposite side?
Yeah.
Okay. Was there anybody in the lobby when you opened the door?
There was 2 firefighters.
Apart from the... right.
No.
Nobody
No
else?
one else.
Okay. And I'm sorry to keep asking these detailed questions about the smoke. Was it closer to the ceiling, or did it go all the way down to the floor? Do you remember?
No, it's not all the way down to the floor.
Not on the floor
No.
of the lobby?
Yeah, just the top, not down.
Okay. And did the smoke have any, when you looked at it, did it have any physical effect on you?
No.
Okay. Now, can we look at your MM1 again, please? The first exhibit, which you've marked on the plan of the building. Using this plan, if we can, Mrs. Mahmud, when you look into the lobby from your front door, could you see the front doors of the other flats, do you think?
Sorry?
Could you see the front doors of the other flats?
Yes.
You could. Do you remember whether they were open or closed?
All closed.
They were closed. Did you get any sense or idea of where the smoke that you could see in the lobby was coming from?
If I'm not mistaken, maybe number 24. 26, sorry. I can't remember. No.
Right. So from another flat?
Maybe 26.
You think so?
Maybe.
Why do you think that? What did you see that made you think that?
Because when the fire started, it was right below 26, which was 16.
Right. Could you see smoke coming from the door of 26?
I can't remember, I was rushing out.
Okay. Now, in your statement, we can go back to it. Are you okay to carry on, do you think?
Yes.
Thanks. Okay. Paragraph 21, you go on to say, we'll just go back to that paragraph. You go on to say there were fire hoses on the floor in the communal area too. There were 2 firefighters in the communal area, and they started pulling the hoses to connect them to the dry riser. One firefighter was pulling the hose, and the other was banging on other flat doors telling people to leave. They both had masks on. It was clear that the hoses were not working. I assumed that they were already connected to the dry risers at this point, but I could not see properly. Can you were you able to see the dry riser from where you were standing when you opened the front door?
Sorry.
Don't remember? No. Okay. When you opened the front door, do you remember what the temperature in the lobby was like outside your flat?
It was hot.
It was hot.
Yeah.
Was it hotter than it would normally be for?
Slightly, I wouldn't say more, but slightly hot.
Slightly.
Hotter than normal. Yeah.
Did you hear the noise of a fan or smoke extraction system or something like that?
No.
You then say at the bottom of the paragraph, 3 lines up from the end, there were no fire alarms going off in the communal areas. I would have expected them to go off as there was smoke in the communal area. Did you think that there were fire alarms in the communal area?
No, there's no.
Okay. So I just wondered why, because you say in your statement you would have expected the fire alarms to go off because there was smoke.
If there was.
Oh, I
fire.
see. Right. So if there had been, you would have expected them
Yeah.
to work. Right. And then you told us this afternoon, and in your statement as well, at paragraph 22, that the firefighter told you had 2 seconds to get out. And I know they were both wearing full breathing apparatus, but do you remember whether it was the firefighter pulling the hose or the firefighter knocking on the doors that told you that?
The one knocking on the door.
The one knocking on the doors, okay. Then I think you went back into your flat after that, as you told us. How much time do you think passed between your going back into the flat and after the firefighter had told you to leave and you actually leaving your flat?
It was not long, less than a minute or so, because I just grabbed my daughter, put her in the bag. The bag is right next to the door.
Right.
And the distance from the door to the bedroom is 2 steps, 3 steps.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Chairman, I think Mrs. Mahmud, if this is all right, we'll take a short break. And it's hard work for you, I think, and for us as well. So maybe a 10-minute break would be good.
Just
Okay.
tell me how you're getting on.
I'm doing very well, Mr. Chairman, but we've got some more detailed questions
Yes.
to look at.
Well, it would be good to have a break, wouldn't it, at this point?
Thank you.
We'll stop until 5 to 3, and I'm going to ask you to go to the usher in a moment. I had to ask you not to talk to him about your evidence while you're out of the room. All right? All right, you go with him. And you go with him.
Yeah, thank you.
All right? Yes, just go with the usher. She'll take you out. All right, 5 to 3 then, please.
Okay.
She's on her way back in.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Are you right? And you ready to carry on?
Yes, please. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Mahmud, thank you for coming back to us.
Thank you.
I want to ask you now about the moment when you left your flat with your family.
Yes.
When you left your flat, do you remember whether there was any smoke beginning to come into it?
No. In the flat, no.
In the flat, no. And then you went into the lobby outside your flat.
Yes.
Now, in your statement at paragraph 23, you say, and let's just have it up on the screen, please. You say, I walked with my children, I agreed and walked with my children towards the fire door to the stairwell. The smoke in the lobby was getting thicker, and the firemen were still knocking on my neighbours' doors on our floor. Now, I just want to ask you about the smoke getting thicker in the lobby. Do you remember how much thicker it was when you went out into it, having left your flat, than when you first saw it?
When I saw it, the smoke was there, but when I say it was thicker, you could tell that there's more smoke coming through now, and it's getting darker and darker.
Right.
Yeah.
Was it?
But it was 10 seconds from the door to the stairs, and my attention was to get downstairs, get my kids to safety.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Did you notice whether it was still less thick towards the floor?
On the stairs down, yes, it was getting thicker.
In the lobby there.
Yes.
In the lobby area outside your
Yes.
flat, was it less thick towards the floor?
Yes, it was.
Did you notice then, at that time, when you were crossing the lobby to go to the stairs, where the smoke was coming from?
No, I mean, maybe it was, as I said, 26,
Right,
because on the other side there's nothing.
I see. And did you see any residents or other people in the lobby outside your flat when you went across?
No.
Now, you say in the same paragraph, 3 lines down, I opened the fire door and started walking down the stairs as quick as I could. The door did not automatically shut behind me and was left open. Could you just tell us what you mean by fire door? Could you describe the fire door that you're referring to?
As far as my understanding, fire door is, it stays easy accessible. In and out, you open it and it just swings. It doesn't lock. But then this was just stuck to the wall and people just coming out.
Right, so this is the door into the stairs.
Yes.
Was it open?
It was open, yes.
Right. And you say it didn't automatically shut behind me and was left open. Was there something preventing it from shutting, or was it just hanging open?
I can't remember.
Right. Did you notice anything on the floor that was keeping the door open?
Can't remember.
Can't remember. Okay. Normally, do you remember whether the door would be open or shut?
It used to be shut.
Usually shut.
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember ever using that door into the stairs before the fire?
Yes.
And do you remember whether it would automatically shut when you used it?
No, we just push it and then pull it to close it behind us when you're going up or down.
Right. This is the door into the stairs.
Yes.
And you'd have to close it behind you, would you?
Yes.
So it didn't automatically swing
No.
shut?
No.
Right, okay. Now, when you're in the stairwell, you're walking down, Did you feel any change in temperature in the air?
No, not as such, no, not too much.
Right.
Slightly, but no.
Okay. Did you feel any sensation of air blowing against you on your face?
No.
Okay. Now you say in the same paragraph 23, the lights were on in the stairwell, and I remember seeing smoke in the stairs. Can you describe for us where the smoke was in the stairs?
It was on the 4th floor, but when we went down, there's nothing.
Right. So you came down from above.
Yeah.
So did it get thicker as you? Well, did you tell me?
So from the 5th floor downwards until the 4th floor, there was smoke, but then the 3rd floor it was less. 2nd floor,
Right.
1st floor, ground floor, nothing.
Okay. And do you remember where the smoke was? Was it higher up or lower down?
It was just in the air, not
Right.
as much, but it was in the air. Yeah.
Did it have a colour?
Can't remember.
Okay. Could you breathe okay?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Did it make you cough at all?
No.
Okay. Now, do you remember hearing, when you were in the stairs, do you remember hearing like a fan noise or vent or anything like that?
No.
Okay. Now, if you go to paragraph 24, you say in the 2nd and 3rd lines, I saw a lot of other residents from the tower walking past me. A lot of them looked quite concerned and worried, but I did not recognise any of them. Can you remember roughly how many residents you saw in the stairs at that time?
10, 11, just people just coming down
Right.
as quick as they could, so
Were they coming down from above you?
yes.
Right. Did you talk to them?
No, everyone was rushing down.
Right. Did you recognise any of them?
No,
So did you know which floors they'd come down from?
no,
Okay. Did they have any difficulty breathing, or were they coughing?
I can't tell, I couldn't see that.
Okay.
It's all just rushing down.
Right. Did they slow you down?
Well, I was carrying my daughter and holding my son, so yeah, I was slower than them.
Yeah. But did they slow you down?
Yeah.
They didn't. Do you remember whether you saw any firefighters in the stairs?
No,
Now, at paragraph 25 of your statement, you say in the 4th line, I tried to walk out of the side entrance, but I was told to walk out of the main entrance to exit the tower with my 2 children. Do you remember who told you to go out of the main entrance?
those residents, one of them was on the 1st floor landing, and then just beside the stairs, and her mom was next to the main entrance.
Right. Do you normally use the side entrance?
Well, the problem was very confusing when they put the 2 doors. Sometimes you go to use the main door, they tell you use the side door.
Right.
Sometimes you use the side door, they tell you use the main door. So I thought it was easy just to turn on my left to go through the side door.
Right.
And that's when the woman told me, this way, the main door.
Okay. So did you have to go through the glass door at the foot of the stairs to get into the lobby?
Yes.
And did you need a fob to get out? A key fob?
No. No.
Was the
You do before the fire, yes, but then that time the door was already open.
Of course. Now, when you got into the lobby, do you remember hearing the noise of a fan or vent or something like that?
No.
What was the temperature in the lobby, the main lobby, like? Do you remember at that time?
It was hot, but I can't tell the temperature. It was hotter than usual.
Was it hotter than before,
Yes.
the same evening?
Yes.
Right. So just so I'm clear, so it was hotter than it was earlier on in the same night?
Yes.
And when you left the tower, did anybody tell you where to go and wait?
It's just the residents were helping, telling us to go around to meet by the leisure centre.
Right. Did anybody ask you to confirm your flat number and how many people you had with you?
No.
Did anybody ask you whether you'd left anybody behind in the flat?
No.
Now, I'm going to ask you some questions next about your contact on that night with your very dear friend Rania, after you came out of the tower. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. We'll see how we go. And if you need a break again, we can take another break.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you've explained in your statement
Yes.
that you left your phone behind and your husband didn't have Rania's number.
No.
And so you had to call other friends to get the number. Can I go to paragraph 35 of your statement? And you say, I called Rania at around 3 a.m. outside my friend's house. How do you remember that it was 3 a.m.?
It was just roughly because we hung around for quite some time
Right.
since we left the tower.
Okay.
So that was my rough estimate of timing.
All right. And you go on to describe your conversation, and in the fourth line of your statement you say, she said to me, "Thank God you're alive." I asked her what was going on, and she told me it was very dark. Did she tell you what was dark?
So there was no light and there's smoke.
Right. In her flat?
Yes.
Did she tell you what else was happening in her flat?
It was a quick call. I didn't want to keep her down on the phone. All I wanted was her to calm down. I was responsible for her as my daughter and her kids as my children. So when she was happy I was alive, I was thinking, okay, calm down, let's both be alive. She said no. They told her to stay, the help is coming. When she heard the helicopter, we all assumed they're there to help them. Could hear the people at the background, her neighbors. But Rania being Rania, she would believe anyone. She would have calmed down, because I believe there's some people who survived after 3 a.m. But she didn't. She respected and trusted and believed that they're coming to rescue them. And that rescue will never come.
Sorry, we just take a moment. Are you all right to carry on?
Yes.
Thank you.
I've just got one more question, Mrs. Mahmud. So, It's on the same paragraph. She said, and this is halfway down your paragraph, you say, she told me that the roof door was locked. It's about just below halfway down the paragraph 35. Just below the 999 number. There. And that they were sending help as she could see a helicopter. I just want to ask you one question about that. Do you remember her telling you how she knew the door to the roof was locked?
No, I didn't ask her how. Maybe people went up there and they didn't succeed. They came back down.
Right.
Because you used to have a lot of teenage boys coming.
Right.
Some homeless people coming, seeking shelter in the stairs, the homeless people. So it was always locked.
Right.
Because nobody could get access on top of the roof.
Mrs. Mahmud, I've got no further questions for you. There may be other questions my team might want me to ask you, or other lawyers in the room might want me to ask you as well. So I'm going to ask, if it's okay, I'm going to ask the chairman to take another break for a few minutes, and then come back. Is that all right?
Would 5 minutes likely to be enough?
Yes, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
5 minutes.
All right. Would you like to go with the usher? We'll have a 5-minute break. Right, 3:20 then, please. Yes, Mr. Millett.
Mr. Chairman, just one or two questions left.
Of course. Thank you. Yes.
If we
Could you
could
ask Mrs. Mahmud to come back in, please? All right. I think Mr. Millett has a couple of questions, if you're all right to carry on for a bit.
Yes.
Not very long, I think.
Mrs. Mahmood, thank you for coming back to us.
Thank you.
I just have one or two questions for you. You mentioned that Rania didn't cook on the night of the fire because her husband was returning the next day.
Yes.
Do you know where he was returning from?
From Egypt.
From Egypt.
Yes.
And do you know what he was doing in Egypt?
Had some family issues there.
I understand. You've been very helpful indeed in your written witness statement and in your evidence to the chairman today, and we're all extremely grateful.
Thank you.
Can I ask a general question? Is there anything further, additional, that you would wish to tell the chairman about the events of that night, which you think that it's important for the chairman to know?
I don't know.
It's okay.
No.
All right. Well, you've told us a great deal, and we are grateful.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, Mrs. Mahmood, can I express our gratitude on my behalf and on behalf of the entire inquiry team for your coming here today and assisting us with our investigations. We do hugely appreciate it, so thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, too. Thank
Well,
you.
as Mr. Millett said, it really very helpful, and we are very grateful. You had an awful experience and a very distressing time, and I think it's still very distressing for you. And I think we all understand how difficult it's been for you to come and talk about these things. So we're particularly grateful because your evidence is really valuable to us. And we thank you very much for
Justice.
coming.
Hope we'll get the justice for the
Yes.
72 plus people.
Yes,
This is for them and no
course.
one else.
of course.
Every single day until the last minute. We're fighting for justice because all those innocent people, my children, Rania's children are my children.
Well, you've certainly helped everybody by coming to give us your evidence.
I hope it's gonna go further. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. Would you like to go with the usher? She'll look after you now. Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Millett.
Well, now, Mr. Chairman, we were going to spend the rest of the afternoon reading some statements
Yes.
from witnesses who have provided extremely helpful and valuable witness statements. For reasons I needn't go into now, I'm not, I'm afraid, able to do that.
Right.
I'll be able to update you and everybody else in this room, I hope, very shortly. But something arose after hours on Friday night, which has meant that would be an unwise course to follow today. So I hope to be able to provide some further updates about what we propose to do about statements such as those during tomorrow, if possible. We will then continue, if we may, tomorrow morning with our next oral witness, who is Meron Mekonnen, who I think Mr. Rawat will take during tomorrow morning.
Right.
I will be back tomorrow afternoon for tomorrow afternoon's
So we
oral witnesses.
break now and resume
At 10 o'clock.
tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock?
Yes, thank you.
Right, well, I'm sorry that we can't take any further evidence this afternoon, but we'll resume tomorrow with another witness from the tower, and we'll do that at 10 o'clock then, please. Thank you very much. 10 o'clock
Yes.
tomorrow.